Hey guys, what's up? Welcome back to my channel. I'm Shayla Renato, and if you're new here, welcome to Black Girls Wine TV. In this episode, we are going to be chatting a little bit about where to start with wine. So if you're looking for tips and tricks on how to grow in your wine journey and where you can get started from where you are right now, then make sure you stay tuned and watch. And since you're here, you might as well go ahead and subscribe. All right, guys, so listen, I had a question asked to me over on Instagram, and I thought it was a really good question. I've gotten it often, and I actually did write an article about this for Wine Enthusiast. So you can check that down in the comments. I already put the link there. Now, let's talk a little bit about where do you start with wine? So you're probably wondering what's in my glass. I am enjoying the wine from last night. I sipped on Wagner. It's a Riesling, and it was one of my New York feature wines for our What New Wine Challenge here at BGW. I really enjoy this Riesling, and if you want my notes and everything and my thoughts on it, you can check it out. The video, I'll link it below. And besides, if you haven't been joining us live, it's a lot of fun, but let's get into the video. So first things first, my first tip is that I want you to explore around the wines that you've had so far. Now, if you're kind of like, what do you mean by that, Shayla? I mean, if you, for instance, have found a Riesling that you really like, I want you to explore Rieslings, but don't just explore Rieslings from one region, okay? Like for instance, I'm having a Riesling with grapes that were grown in New York. New York has a very different weather pattern. There's different soil. The winemaker is gonna have a different style. All of those things are what we often refer to as a wine's terroir, okay? Now, every wine has a different terroir, right? Which AKA is a different region that has different weather, different soil, a lot of different components that affect how the grape grows in that area, all right? So if you had a Riesling before and you like Riesling, now it's time to move on to a Riesling from somewhere else. Try a Riesling from California. Try a Riesling from Germany. Germany is known for growing Riesling really well. Germany is known for making great Rieslings. So you can try a Riesling from Australia, and you can try a Riesling from Washington, okay? So that's just an example. I want you to drink around what you already have found that you like. That's gonna teach you, one, what areas you may prefer when it comes to Riesling. And if a white wine or white grape has done exceptionally well in that area, then you also may find that there are other white grape varietals that you will enjoy from that region as well. Number two, so I also want you to explore around the producers of the wines that you find that you really like. So a producer is what we are calling a winemaker, a winery that produces a wine. It may be a company that sources grapes and they make the wine, okay? So lots of different terms and terminology and stuff like that, but to wrap it all up, we're gonna say producer. So if you find a wine by a producer that you really like I really like this Wagner Riesling, then I wanna taste some of their other varietals next, okay? So once you get your foot in the door and you're kind of like, all right, I like the Riesling, let me see what Wagner may make that I like in a red varietal, or let me see what I make. Maybe I like their dessert wine. Do they make a sparkling? Maybe I like that, okay? So taste around in the producer that you really like. That's gonna help you open up your palate a little bit more and try some different things. A lot of times we make discovering new wines harder than it has to be. Now, granted, you've got me to sit through wines and try them for you, which is great, right? You don't have to buy before you try, technically. You can try it with me first. But when you're on your own and I'm not there with you and you're trying to decide what to buy next, start with that varietal and then start with that producer. My next two tips are this. Go in with an open mind and always try the same wine twice, okay? Here's the thing. You want to be open-minded when it comes to trying wine. I hate to hear people say, oh, I don't like Chardonnay, it always tastes this way. Number one, that's a lie. It can't always taste a way unless you're buying really cheap wine that's made cheaply and they just add a bunch of chemicals so it tastes the same. No side eye to anyone in particular, but it's not going to always taste the same because every year the weather's different. Every year, you know, there's different things that will affect how that grape is grown. So it's not always going to taste the same. That's just number one. Number two, guys, Chardonnay from California and Chardonnay from, I'm going to say France, completely different. They aren't going to taste the same. Their terroir is completely different. Okay. So I want you to be mindful of that. Don't ever say, oh, I don't want to try this. I don't like this grape, because grapes express themselves differently in different areas around the world. So be open-minded to try a wine again. All right. And then that second one that I gave you for these next two tips was always try the same wine twice. All right. So sometimes we try wines and we're like, that kind of I didn't like that. I didn't like this about it. I didn't like the way this tasted. I didn't like the way that tasted. And that's perfectly fine. You may not have at that time. But as our palates evolve, a lot of times the wine that you didn't like last spring, you might just love this summer because you've tried other things in between that and your palate has had a chance to grow. So always try it twice before you dismiss it. All right, so my next tip is gonna be pretty easy, a one for you to follow. Try a wine course. There's plenty out there. If you are a society member, you get a discount for taking WSET through the Virginia Wine School, and that's an awesome offer. But if you're not a society member, and by society I am referencing the Black Girls Wine Society, which is a national organization with 30 plus chapters around the country. So just throwing that out there. I'll put the details below in case you're interested. But if you're not a society member, I still encourage you, take WSET 1. It's like a beginner's wine course 101. Gives you lots of information to kind of get to know what's actually happening in your glass. So it's a good opportunity to kind of explore a little bit more and learn more about what you're drinking. And when it comes to taking a wine course, excuse me guys, you know, when I start drinking I burp a little. When it comes to taking a wine course, just be thoughtful of the fact that you don't have to be trying to be the next sommelier or whatever. You can just be taking it to learn, and there's plenty of classes that offer that opportunity too. So be open-minded about that. And if you ever need any suggestions, you can drop in the comments and let me know. And I can always refer you to some that maybe are not our official WSET or CSW or whatever. Okay, so my next tip is for you to explore on your own and in groups. Now, by exploring on your own, I mean you can explore wineries nearby and do tastings. They usually pour you whatever varietals they have available and you get to taste them one by one. It's a great opportunity to start with growing your palate and getting exposed to more wines without having to buy a whole entire bottle. Same thing with wine festivals. A lot of times people say, I don't know where to start when it comes to buying or trying. Go to wine festivals. You get to try so much wine, literally. Now, first of all, don't drive. Please don't drive. Because when you get to trying wines and then you keep trying wines, you can't drive. But explore that way, or you can explore in groups if you don't want to explore alone. Exploring in groups, you can join a local wine club. I'm a part of a wine club here called the Vine Wine Club in Richmond, Virginia, and every single month we have like so many opportunities to sip with other wine friends and get the opportunity to taste wines from around the world. And I don't have to buy them, right? I pay my monthly membership and I show up to whatever tastings work for my schedule. So that's really good too. Different groups, the only one that I can tell you of is the Black Girls Wine Society, which of course we have in-person meetups in the cities where we're able to right now due to COVID, but we also have like virtual tastings where we give you the links to pick up your wines, and we bring in wine professionals, wine experts to talk to our members a little bit about that wine and give them the opportunity to get education along with what's in their glass. Those are examples of opportunities for you to grow your palate and learn at the same time. And I don't want you to get discouraged. You may taste a bunch of dry wines and think they're crap, and the rest of us gonna be like, oh my gosh, girl, this is the best thing since sliced bread. And that's okay. you will get there too. You have to give your palate a chance to develop and to get used to wines that aren't heavy in residual sugar and all that good stuff. Okay? Okay, so my last 2 tips are kind of fun. First things first, follow wine professionals. Now, I mentioned in the last video from last week of the mistakes that new wine drinkers are making, and it's that they don't. So my tip for this week to follow up on that is make sure that you follow people who do live tastings. There's a few people here on YouTube who offer live tastings, review wines, that kind of stuff. Follow those kind of people so that when they're describing wines that sound like something you would like, you can try them. My last tip for you, watch Wine Down Live. Every single week I go live at 8:30. And I'm gonna tell you what the benefit to that is. You know how you see a wine in the store and you're like, I wonder how that tastes. Or you see a wine that's really popular on Instagram and you're like, I wonder how that really is. Girl, hello, DM me. Tell me to check it out and I'll review it on the show for you. And I've already reviewed hundreds of wines because we're now in season 3, which means year 3 of doing the show. So there's plenty for you to kind of check out. Check out how I describe it. You'll be able to see what I would pair it with. And I'm very descriptive, and I usually, I don't really hide my facial expressions. So you can always tell if I like it or don't like it. And sometimes just because I don't like something doesn't mean that you won't, which is why I taste with the system that I've been taught with WSET, and I describe the wine. I tell you what I'm enjoying, what I'm smelling, what aromas I'm getting, what's happening on my palate, and I talk you through the wine. And I always, if it's something that I don't like, will tell you specifically what it is that I'm not enjoying about it, so that if it's something you will enjoy, you can try it too. Thank you so much for joining me for another episode of Drink With Me. And I'm happy that I was able to share some tips with you on where to start in your wine journey. Tune in next week, and until then, I will see you later. Bye.